One theme that has always seemed to reappear in the gaming world is the apocalypse, or to be more specific, zombies. No matter where you look, you can't seem to escape the onslaught of rotting corpses. But one has to ask, why is such a specific thing like zombies such a reoccurring element in gaming? Is it because the concept of shooting the undead in the face is just so awesome? Or do we need to go deeper? In today's market, it's no surprise that something as violent as zombie shooting is going to reach a broad audience. But I believe that the biggest reason studios are so willing to lean towards this genre has to do with programming, or game design as a whole really. AI tends to be one of the more difficult things to program because of the sheer amount of different outcomes it has to prepare for. Whether you as a player run to the left, run to the right, or do something else, it usually has an effect on what the AI does next. They may have the advantage of perfect reflexes and insane reaction time, but they first have to process the thing that they're reacting to in order to function. This can get pretty complicated depending on what kind of game you're trying to make. But regardless, there will always be an attempt to make the AI feel less like a programmed object, and more like something that feels alive.
It's alive! In the name of God, now I know what it feels like to be God.
But of course, there are exceptions. If you really think about it, the zombie is the perfect attacker to implement in your game. It's dumb AI, but it still makes perfect sense in context. They're brainless corpses whose only goal is to eat you, which almost always entails running at you in a straight line. You run to the left, they run in a straight line. You run to the right, they run in a straight line. You start unloading clips into them, and they continue to run in a straight line. The zombie never has to worry about positioning, how much health it has, how much health you have. Regardless of the scenario, their one plan remains the same, followed by the two universal known zombie moves: swipe at you or latch on you and try to bite you. So I've mentioned that zombies are on the more basic side of AI, but they're just regular enemies. It's not like regular enemies from other games are all that complicated. And just to make it clear, I'm not labeling simple AI in zombie games as a flaw. The great zombie games will take advantage of the simple AI to concentrate more on atmosphere and complicated map layouts. So where am I going with this? Well, I feel that just as deceptively simple AI goes uncared for and unnoticed, so does complex AI. You see, often when the discussion starts about how much content a game has, rarely is AI ever brought up. It's usually the things that we can visually see that drifts into the conversation. Things that we can get a real sense of in the trailer, like how big a game world is, how much customization there is, how many tasks there are to accomplish. One of the things that we can't get a real sense for is how the game's AI reacts to the player, since we ourselves aren't playing the game yet. We're just watching someone else do it. Because of this, such a crucial factor that affects gameplay can't be advertised very well. Here's an example: Monster Hunter. If you're not familiar with the Monster Hunter series, I wouldn't be surprised. Although it's absolutely batshit crazy popular in Japan, the series hasn't been able to pick up similar success outside of the country. The series is about, well, pretty much what the title suggests. You hunt monsters.
What a twist!
And that really is the gist of it. Like, I could go more into detail about how you craft your armor, increase your hunter rank, but the bulk of the game is just about fighting big old monsters. Before I decided to give the series a try, I had come to realize that that's all you did. And I thought to myself, I fight big monsters in other games too. That usually comes packaged with a shitload of other things. Especially in today's age, lots of games try to sell themselves on the go anywhere and do anything proposal. What set Monster Hunter apart from the rest of the monster fighting games? It's not open world, it doesn't really have a story at all, and there's next to no cultural appeal with its themes. So why was Japan losing their collective shit over it? I was confused. And then I played it. Spoiler alert, the game's fantastic. Three double edges of fun. Among the many minute things that make the series great, I can confidently say that the reason why Monster Hunter is so good is because of how well designed and programmed all the monsters are. You can really feel the amount of time and effort that went into making all the monsters feel somewhat alive and restless and difficult. You know how I mentioned before how the great zombie games take advantage of their simple AI to build more complex environments? Monster Hunter is the exact opposite of that. The development team stuck with simplistic map layouts in order to allow for the most complex of monster designs. However, the map layout is still varied enough to the point where the environment feels natural. How many times have you been playing a game and you walk up to a big, vast, empty room and you're like, yep, here comes the boss fight? The fact that the team was able to create such a varied map layout and still manage to get the monsters to be that complex goes to show how much work and dedication went into designing and programming these beasts. And that makes for truly engaging fights. And you know the fights are engaging when the average time it takes to defeat a difficult monster is around 30 minutes the first time around. That's an insane amount of time. Just try to picture any other fight in a video game that's not strategy or turn-based that would take you a half an hour to complete. That shit would get boring after the first 10 minutes. And in theory, it should in Monster Hunter too. But it doesn't, because of how sophisticatedly designed the monsters are. They get angry, they get tired, they get injured, they run from you, they run after you, they pin you down. Even with Monster Hunter's great music, art style, and weapon design, if it wasn't for the insanely complex monsters, the game would be tedious and boring. You'd be wailing your weapons into what would essentially be a big damage sponge. You strip Monster Hunter of its insane AI and you get a game where fighting a monster for over 30 minutes, sometimes over and over again to farm materials, is just as tedious as it sounds. My whole point here is that AI can really make or break a game, even more so than the game's concept itself. A not so great sounding concept can be brought to unknown heights when the right amount of work is put in. So next time you're fighting something in a game, ask yourself how much the AI might be contributing to your experience. And if you're having a great time, think about how intricately designed the AI is and how that might be keeping you engaged. And if the AI is simplistic and you're still having a great time, think about the things that the designers might be doing to compensate for that. My hope is that the next time some computer-generated entity kicks your ass in a game, you think about all the things that the AI had to process in real time in order to accomplish that.